The best part of the movie watching year is upon us again. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about my 10 most anticipated movies of TIFF50, the 2025 edition of the Toronto International Film Festival. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and recommendations. As many of you already know, I received press accreditation for TIFF again this year. This will be my 5th year covering the festival, and I can't wait to head back up to Canada for some more movies and fun times with my fellow critic friends. In fact, when this video publishes, I'll actually already be on the train to Toronto. As always, there are a ton of films I'm excited for this year. So I'm going to talk about my 10 most anticipated TIFF50 movies and then share with you an extra 40 that I also hope to watch, bringing the video total to 50 movies for TIFF50. So I'm hoping to see as many of these as I can while I'm up in Toronto, and others. I know I say it every year, but it's been especially tough to narrow down my watch list this year. My initial shortlist started with an absolutely absurd 94 films this year. I always try to rank the movies based on my interest in them to help me narrow down, and I do this using grades, A, A-, B+, etc. Usually my top 10 most anticipated has all of my A's plus a handful of A-, but this year I couldn't even fit all of my A's in the top 10. So even though I'm mentioning 50 movies today, this list doesn't even take me through all of my B-rated movies. I also want to note that I already saw 2 TIFF movies at Sundance this year. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, and Dead Lover, so I'm not including them in this list. In fact, my review for Dead Lover will be posted this Friday, so be on the lookout for that. With the way the crazy overlapping schedule works out this year, there's a very good chance I won't have the opportunity to see all of these anticipated TIFF movies during the festival. But I'll be bringing you reviews of the ones I do get to see over the coming weeks and months. Since these are all A-rated movies in my list, I'm not even going to try to rank these by anticipation, so we're just going to go through this list alphabetically. First up is A Useful Ghost, the directorial debut by Ratchapum Boonpanchachok. It might seem like an out there pick, and I promise I'll have more popular or familiar movies later on, but we're starting with this one that immediately caught my eye when I was looking over the TIFF slate. This is a Thai dark fantasy comedy about possessed household appliances. This movie focuses on a woman who dies from a respiratory disease as a result of working in a factory. And after her husband starts to display similar symptoms, her ghost comes back to possess a vacuum cleaner in an effort to help protect him. It sounds like a totally bonkers concept for a movie, but also one that's right up my alley as something that'll probably be a genre-mixing mashup that's equal parts funny, sweet, and weird. This film already premiered at Cannes back in May, where it won the Grand Prix prize, and it's already been selected as Thailand's submission for Best International Feature Film for next year's Oscars. Next is The Blue Trail, directed by Gabriel Mascaro. This one is a Brazilian movie that seems like it's going to be a cross between a dystopian drama and a road movie, just without many roads. Set in an alternate future in which the elderly are removed from general society and relocated, this movie tells the story of a woman who's forced to retire and defies the government by not relocating, and instead travels to the Amazon to fulfill a bucket list dream. To me, this sounds like a movie that rolls social commentary and a life-affirming journey into one film, while mixing in elements from other past TIFF movies that I've seen, such as Plan 75 from 2022, Can I Get a Witness from last year, and maybe even a little bit of Concrete Utopia from 2023. This movie premiered at the Berlin Film Festival this year and won the Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize. Now, I've been excited for this one ever since, because my good critic friend and festival bestie, Carol, of No Sofa Com Gatos, was ecstatically recommending it. There aren't many screenings of this at the festival this year, so I think this might end up being one of the hardest tickets for me to get. Keeping the elderly theme going, we've got Eleanor the Great, which is directed by Scarlett Johansson as her feature directorial debut. This one is a comedy drama that focuses on Eleanor, a 94-year-old woman who moves to New York City and befriends a 19-year-old journalism student who's writing an article about her. The problem is, the story that Eleanor's telling this girl is not actually her own, resulting in a funny and thoughtful character study about loss, appropriation, and loneliness. That all sounds interesting in and of itself, but the real draw for me is the fact that Eleanor is played by June Squibb. I absolutely love that she's been having this very late career resurgence in the last few years, and I only hope this continues for as long as possible. This feels like the kind of role that Squibb is going to completely eat up, so I'm really excited to see it. This is another movie that premiered at Cannes this year and has already been picked up by Sony Pictures Classics, who have scheduled it for a theatrical release on September 26th. Next up is Eternity, directed by David Frayne. It may have taken us 4 movies, but we've finally gotten to one that's actually having its world premiere at TIFF. This one is a fantasy romantic comedy starring Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner, not to mention Oscar winner Da'Vine Joy Randolph. So this is one of those movies where the premise is really what grabbed me. In this film, people are given 1 week after death to choose who they want to spend the afterlife with. The movie focuses on an elderly husband and wife who die within a week of one another, seemingly making for a very easy choice once they reach this afterlife waypoint. However, matters get a little complicated when they discovered that the woman's first husband, who died nearly 70 years before in the Korean War, is waiting there hoping to reunite with her, resulting in a rom-com afterlife love triangle. I really love movies that portray the afterlife as a bureaucracy of some sort, and this one seems like it's going to be very funny and very touching. In fact, the premise is giving me some serious defending your life vibes, so I'm really curious to see how it all plays out. This one was produced by A24 and is coming to theaters sometime in November, with the exact release date yet to be determined. Next is Frankenstein, directed by Guillermo del Toro. See, I told you there'd be some big popular ones on this list, and I think this is probably the biggest, and the one that everybody will have on their anticipated lists. This one is a gothic sci-fi film adapted from Mary Shelley's 1818 novel, Frankenstein. You all already know the story, so no plot recap is needed. However, some casting information might be helpful. This movie stars Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, Mia Goth as his fiancée, and Jacob Elordi as his monster. There have been many adaptations of the story over the decades, and I've always thought it was one of the strongest of the Universal monster movies, but I'm very excited for this version. Guillermo del Toro is one of my absolute favorite directors, and this is a film that feels so unbelievably suited to him and his style that it's crazy. This one will be premiering at Venice Film Festival this year, which I realize will have already happened by the time this video posts, but as of recording, that hasn't happened yet. This film is part of Guillermo del Toro's ongoing deal with Netflix, so there will be a limited theatrical release on October 17th. But at least in Maine, we never get those Netflix theatrical releases, so I'm really hoping I manage to get a ticket to see it on the big screen at TIFF. For everybody else who doesn't get those Netflix theatrical releases nearby, this one will be released on Netflix on November 7th. Continuing on, we've got Fuse, directed by David Mackenzie, who just so happens to have directed a TIFF film from last year called Relay that finally just got its official release, so be sure to check out that very recent review of mine here. But back to Fuse and its TIFF world premiere. This is a British crime thriller and heist film starring a big cast, including Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Theo James, Sam Worthington, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. In this film, a World War II-era bomb is found at a construction site in London, and while authorities try to protect people and evacuate the area, a group of criminals use that distraction opportunity to stage a heist. In addition to the crime thriller elements, this movie is also being described as a bit of a mystery whodunit, which has me intrigued, because I really want to see how all these different genre and story elements fit together and play out across the film. It sounds like a really solid and entertaining thriller, so I'm definitely hoping to catch this one at the festival. Up next is Normal, directed by Ben Wheatley and written by Derek Kolstad, writer of the John Wick and Nobody franchises. Believe it or not, this is actually the only Midnight Madness film to make my top 10, which is kinda crazy, because if you've been following this channel for long, you know my festival anticipated lists are usually full of midnight films. This movie is an action crime thriller that stars Bob Odenkirk as a man who comes to the sleepy small town of Normal to act as a temporary sheriff after the previous sheriff dies. What seems to be a low-key and simple gig at first turns into something much bigger once a bank robbery reveals the town's far-reaching criminal underground. This one sounds like an absolute action blast, with a fun concept that pulls in elements and characterizations of the Nobody franchise, but blends them together with a mystery and conspiratorial plot that needs to be uncovered and unraveled by the main character. Just based on the premise and some of the action description, Ben Wheatley's 2016 film Free Fire already comes to mind, as does the small-town dark mystery of Fargo, and even the new cop discovers small-town conspiracy of Hot Fuzz. Sounds like I probably already have the makings of my 3 movies recommendation short for this film. In any case, this movie sounds like it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I really hope I can catch it during the midnight screening world premiere, because I have a feeling the crowd's going to be very into it. Moving along, we've got Rental Family, directed by the mononymous Hikari. This comedy drama is a US and Japanese co-production starring Brendan Fraser. It tells the story of a lonely American actor living in Tokyo who works for a Japanese rental family service, which is a real thing, and acts as a hired stand-in in other people's lives, such as sad American at a funeral. As he gets hired by different people in different families, he begins to make unexpected connections with people. So this is another one of those very premise-driven movies for me, but I'd be lying if I said Brendan Fraser wasn't also a huge part of the draw here. It's a movie that sounds like it's going to be kind of sweet and funny, but it also seems like it could get a bit psychological, either dark or sad, depending on if Fraser's character or the people who hire him get too attached to each other. In either case, the movie seems like it'll be an interesting and thoughtful exploration of the different roles that we have to play in life and in the lives of others, whether real or an act. This one is a TIFF world premiere, but Searchlight Pictures already has the distribution rights and will be releasing it theatrically on November 21st. Continuing on is The Secret Agent, directed by Kleber Mendonça Filho. This Brazilian historical political thriller stars Wagner Moura as a man caught in the turmoil of the end of the Brazilian military dictatorship. Set in 1977, Moura plays a tech researcher who's on the run, and this neo-noir feeling thriller is supposed to very deftly blend paranoia and surveillance with the boisterous, colorful Carnival celebrations, replicating the visual style of the 1970s as it goes. This movie premiered at Cannes this year and was highly acclaimed, winning Best Actor, Best Director, the Art House Cinema Award, and the Fapreschi Award. I have a feeling that this will probably be Brazil's Oscar submission for Best International Feature Film next year, and from the sounds of it, they have a good shot of winning the category 2 years in a row. Neon has already secured the distribution rights for the US, but haven't set a release date yet. However, the release in Brazil is set for November 6th, so I imagine the US release will be sometime after that. And rounding things out, we've got Wake Up Dead Man, directed by Rian Johnson. This mystery whodunit film is the 3rd movie of the Knives Out franchise, and serves as a standalone sequel to 2022's Glass Onion. Daniel Craig returns as the Hercule Poirot-inspired Benoit Blanc, and this movie, as expected, features a big ensemble cast, including Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, and Kerry Washington, just to name a few. Johnson has stated that this movie is a bit tonally and thematically different from the previous 2 films, supposedly drawing inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue, which should add a darker, gothic flavor to this presumably still very funny mystery. This movie is probably up there with Frankenstein as one of the most anticipated movies for just about every TIFF attendee, so I imagine it's going to be another challenging ticket to get. But I would love to attend the world premiere, because I had so much fun at Glass Onion's premiere back in 2022. Like with Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein, Rian Johnson has a Netflix deal, so considering Netflix's reluctance to include Maine in their limited theatrical releases, this festival screening is probably going to be my only chance to see it on the big screen. No release date has been announced for this nearly inevitable limited theatrical run, but the film will be hitting Netflix on December 12th. So those are my top 10, but like I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to round this out to 50 movies in honor of TIFF50, so here's an extra 40 that I also hope to see. I'm not going to go into any extra details on these ones right now, but in alphabetical order, I hope to also see A Private Life, Adulthood, Bad Apples, Ballad of a Small Player, Carolina Caroline, The Christophers, Dead Man's Wire, Dust Bunny, Eagles of the Republic, Eternal Return, Exit 8, The Furious, Glenn Rothen, Good Boy, Good Fortune, Good News, Hen, John Candy, I Like Me, It Was Just an Accident, Carmadonna, The Lost Bus, The Man in My Basement, Mile End Kicks, Motor City, The Mysterious Gaze of the Flamingo, New Year's Eve, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, No Other Choice, Nuremberg, Obsession, Retreat, Roofman, Sacrifice, Sentimental Value, Silent Friend, The Smashing Machine, The Testament of Anne Lee, Tuner, Unidentified, and Winter of the Crow. Alright, so there you have it. 10 of my most anticipated movies of TIFF50, with 40 extra thrown in for good measure. Which TIFF films are you looking forward to this year? Which ones would you like to see me review? Be sure to post your picks and thoughts in the comments below. Remember, I'll be doing a festival recap video and also reviewing as many of these movies as I can, so be on the lookout for those videos for some more in-depth discussion of each, as well as my ratings, pros and cons, and even tailored film recommendations. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this TIFF list, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe if you're at it to see more videos like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.